I'm not a genius investigator. I didn't go to the police academy or to law school. I didn't go to the Ivy Leagues. I went to a community college next to a hog farm and a cornfield in Iowa. But even I can put together the crimes of Ilhan Omar and their obvious criminality and fraudulence right here, ladies and gentlemen. The Meals Act. What is the Meals Act? Mitigating Electronic Access Laws for Student Act. Okay, the Meals Act was introduced by Ilhan Omar. You can see right here. What did the Meals Act do? This was, of course, something that they shoved through during COVID when everyone had their brains broken. And this is a bill to reduce red tape by streamlining direct certification for free school meals and mitigating unpaid meal debt. Oh, wow. So, like, when you put it on paper, it looks good. It's like, wow, just like every policy, we are making sure that the people who are funding the meals for children during the COVID-19 emergency pandemic, that they get waivers so that they can just keep pumping meals into these kids and the kids can eat and no kids will starve in this country. Doesn't it make you feel good? Look at what we've done. What ended up happening here actually was not anti-hunger advocacy at all. What ended up happening here was that Ilhan Omar was able to get rid of all regulations in order to prevent fraud, people stealing school lunches or providing fake school lunches, and then delivered millions of fake school lunches to fake children in Little Mogadishu, known as Minneapolis. And this is what Ilhan Omar and her friends did. And we know that they're her friends because they are at campaign fundraising events with her. They're now prosecuting some of her friends, including the woman who was in charge of a Feeding Our Futures fraud. Now, this is a fraud that took place where hundreds of thousands of allegedly Somali children were fed using this program. It's not true. None of it's real. No child was fed. No child was real. No child even existed in this program. They all lied. And they defrauded the American government to $243 million. The mastermind of this, they call her the mastermind, Aimee Bock, has been sentenced now to nearly 50 years in federal prison. This is something that is going to stick, but it's not good enough for me because now Aimee Bock has been testifying against Ilhan Omar. Aimee Bock is somebody who has regularly and consistently said that it was Ilhan Omar who knew about what was going on here and that she was one of the ringleaders. Minnesota's $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud mastermind, Aimee Bock, reveals that Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, and Ellison knew about the fraud. Of course they knew about the fraud. She wrote the book on it. She literally wrote the bill that created the fraud. Okay, so she is getting a maximum prison sentence. This is crazy. She now has to pay back $250 million. But where are her Somali co-fraudsters? That's, I think, the real question. Aimee Bock is going to be facing these penalties in the state of Minnesota. What about all of the Somalis that have also pled guilty to this? Here's the report on what has happened to Aimee Bock today.
Breaking news, a Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Aimee Bock. She just got more than 41 years in prison. The prosecution is asking for a 50-year sentence and her defense about 3 years. So that's somewhere in the middle that they got that, but closer to what obviously the prosecution wanted. The scheme involved theft of nearly $250 million in COVID funding. That money was meant to feed hungry children. State leaders claim they were unaware of the fraud. Here's what Aimee Bock told our Alexis McAdams from jail back in January.
I honestly believe Keith Ellison and Governor Walz need to be held accountable. There needs to be an investigation done. If they weren't aware, that's concerning.
Again, Aimee Bock, should have been able to turn in Ilhan Omar. Bock recently told the New York Post that she struggles to believe that Ilhan Omar did not know about the fraud. Omar's spokesperson, Omar sponsored the legislation that was exploited to make the scam possible. And then Ilhan Omar claims that she has $30 million net worth suddenly overnight. This is a payout. This is a payoff. This is money laundering This is Ilhan Omar getting a kickback for passing this bill. That's what this is. It's like, again, you don't have to be a criminal mastermind to understand what's actually going on here. I think there's a reason why Ilhan Omar is literally running away. She used to be very, very quippy with the media when they were asked about this. She'd corner reporters and scream and yell at them. She'd holler and whoop and yell and insult the reporters when asked about this. But now Ilhan Omar is running silently when asked about her role with defeating our future scam, which is she literally wrote the bill. Ilhan Omar breaks silence on alleged fraud connection, saying it's flat.
In the meantime, you've got the House Oversight Committee referring the House.
Well, okay. Then I'm sure that she'll have no problem answering subpoenas for her personal net worth and where the money came from. Any claim that I had knowledge of the scheme is flat out false, says Minnesota Congresswoman. Well, what's interesting about this is that Ilhan Omar's closest advisors, friends, donors, campaign workers, they were all in on this scam. They've all pled guilty on this scam. Isn't that fascinating? So how could she have had no knowledge of any of this? I don't believe it as far as I could throw it. And it looks like the administration is finally throwing everything they got after these scammers. Just a reminder that CNN did just unbelievable journalism here after Nick Shirley broke the story by calling up the Somali fraudsters and asking if they were committing fraud. And when the Somali fraudster says no, they said, oh, you know what? It must be Nick Shirley who's the one who's committing all of the fraud. Actually, of course, that's been proven false. One of the daycare owners that Nick Shirley targeted has now been wrapped up in an indictment, charged as part of a $4.6 million fraud scheme, according to prosecutors. A woman allegedly tied to Minnesota's massive Feeding Our Future scandal has been also charged with daycare fraud. Look at this. Look at your fellow American. This is exactly what our founders wanted, by the way, like in our country. You know, this is what you wanted. You wanted Fakma Eng Mahmoud. Yep. This is somebody who's enriching our country. They're cultural enrichers, aren't they? No, it's actually parasitic in nature because they're stealing from the American taxpayers. We are paying them to run these fraudulent businesses, $4 million for just this one lady in these fake daycares. They're totally fake. You can tell they're fake. Look at this. The pristine plastic toys, never been played with, never been touched. The walls with no markers or no drawing on them. All of the signs are in English. Everything is pristine. Yeah, not buying it. And now the feds are actually wrapping up these frauds, and it's a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, it's good enough. You charge some like dopey meth head looking white lady in Minneapolis. Fine. Now go after the 100 Somalis that were in on this scheme with her. Okay? Because that lady wasn't the one making up the Somali children. Okay? So keep going. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. 50 years, dying in prison, plus a $250 million bill. It's good enough for me. That's a start. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe to end the fraud. See ya.